Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be talking about the week that was in pro wrestling. And oh boy, was it a crazy week. As I talk about the results for AEW Wrestle Dream, which probably not going to get into specifics, but I'll try my best. And then we get NWA Power, and then a combination show of AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision with AEW Wrestle Dream on Saturday. So lock yourselves in, and let's do this. As first, we get our results for AEW Wrestle Dream. Now, this part I found kind of interesting because it did start in the whatever they're calling the matches on the pre-show these days. I forget what it's called. But the match starts on the pre-show. It's FTR, so that's Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood, taking on Jet Speed, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Kevin Knight. This match doesn't have a finish at the end of the pre-show, so it bleeds into the main show, including when the pyro's going off, which, honestly, that is a nuts idea. I think it's pretty cool. I know there's a couple people, I avoided this match because blah, blah, blah. I think this is a great idea. I think more promotions should do stuff like this because it's just a neat little idea. It adds a bit of unpredictability to the show, and it's just more fun. FDR beats Jet Speed to open up the show. First, pure matchup of the main show. We got Jamie Hayter defeating Thekla with all parties banned from ringside, which, great idea. Jurassic Express, in their return to the tag team division proper, beat the Young Bucks, and they receive $500,000, in which, Tony, hook me up, man. The Hurt Syndicate, that's Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and MVP, defeat the Demand, so that's Ricochet, Bishop Khan, and Toa Leona. Kyle Fletcher retains his TNT title against Mark Briscoe. Chris Statlander defends her World Women's title against Timeless Toni Storm. Immediately as that match is ending and Statlander's celebrating, Monet comes out, kicks her out of the ring, which I'm going to say this. Why are you making your world champion look small compared to your TBS title? So now this was an open challenge for Monet to any champion in the world to come in and try to dethrone her for the TBS title. Who answers the call? It's the Women's Ring of Honor television champion, Mina Shirakawa. And honestly, that's great return. Monet beats her, which, now she's 11 belts, Monet. Actually, since yesterday, she is now 12. She is holding 12 title belts, which is, how do you get through customs like that? That's insane. Brodito, that's Brody King and Bandito, successfully defend their AEW tag team titles against Konosuke Takeshita and Kazuchika Okada of the Don Callis family. Say that 5 times fast. Hangman Adam Page successfully defends his AEW World title against Samoa Joe. Post-match, Joe and the Ops turn heel. So, I did see that bit online. So, looks like this story is continuing, which I am definitely okay with. And then Darby Allin, with a little help from the Stinger, officially made Jon Moxley say the words, "I quit." And Moxley, please take a little breather. I know you just want to keep going until you're broken. Please take a few weeks off. Get yourself together. Come back as a hero. So yeah, that was the results for AEW Wrestle Dream. From what I saw, the ending was a bit controversial because it included a fish tank, which, if you haven't seen that, it is definitely not for the faint of heart. So that's that. We now move on to NWA Power. It is the last one before the NWA 77 tapings, or release of the tapings. So we're kind of a little bit behind. So we get our first match, jumping right in, which I am more than okay for. You got Mike Mondo and Slade taking on Alex Misery and Lev of the Lost. Definitely been a while since I've seen these two team, but honestly, this was a lot of fun. This was great tag team action, with Mike Mondo pulling up the win after a gut check time, which I love stuff like that. So then we see, like, it looks like they're in Gorilla right before the entrance ramp. It's the lawyer, or whatever he is, that's been giving away someone's money. I don't know what's going on here. He's just kind of standing at the top of the ramp. Then in comes Kylie Page. I originally thought this was Kenzie, but no, it's Kylie. So I took him on, and she walks up to him. He says, "Hey, did I get my money finally?" So the lawyer, or whatever he is, turns to Kylie, says, "I'm sorry, ma'am, you got disqualified. However, your family is still in it." So Kylie takes a minute, says, "So if my family wins some, they can give some to me?" Lawyer just kind of smiles and says, "I don't understand the rules about that." Kylie then says, "All right, well, I was sick for the last outing. That's why I wasn't there. Can you have me re-enter?" Lawyer, or whatever his name is, says, "I'm sorry, I'm just simply following the rules." Kylie then takes a minute, says, "Would you mind just going through your rule book again and see if you can re-add me back to this proceeding?" Lawyer kind of flashes a quick smile, says, "All right, I will look through the rules again and see what I can do." So Kylie Page being added into this money situation, I still have no idea what's going on with this. I don't know if I missed a step. I don't even know who died. But this is an interesting little twist, I think, if we're going to see someone be re-added to proceedings. Then we get a replay of Tom Latimer's promo from 2 weeks ago on the challenge from Thrillbilly Silas Mason. And we will get to that a little later. That's going to be interesting. We then get Kerry Morton, one half of the United States Tag Team Champions, taking on Dylan McQueen, who is a returning enhancement talent guy. Although McQueen doing some work on Kerry Morton. Like, this was a fun little matchup. that I was kind of hoping would go on for a little bit longer. Near the end, Kerry hits a kiss it goodbye. 1, 2. Kerry pulls his shoulders up, considering he's not done. Locks in a fake hook for a second. And then hits the showstopper to pick up the win. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. Let's see what the dynamic between the Southern Six is going forward, because they are definitely being a little rocky. Then we get highlights of Knox and Murdoch beating the hell out of Eric Smalls from 2 weeks ago. And then the Knox and Murdoch promo from last week accepting the challenge. And then playing a little Rochambeau to see who actually gets the match. Then we go into the match as it's Eric Smalls taking on either Knox or Murdoch. So we see Knox and Murdoch trying to decide. They're talking to each other. Ref walks up, points for someone to leave the ring. Mike Knox does. And then he gets handcuffed to the ring post, which I didn't know that was a stipulation, so that's interesting. So it's Mike Knox going for the challenge. He initially does like a test of strength tease, but Eric Smalls is way too small. So he gets on his knees. They lock it up. Then Murdoch just tosses Eric Smalls to the side. Just starts beating him down for a little bit. But then Smalls, who dodges a bulldog off the top rope, hits pretty much a dick punch. A super kick, hits a beautiful moonsault, which was great. Goes for the caterpillar, but Mike Knox, who is still on the outside, grabs Smalls before he can continue the move. Murdoch with a great big boot right to Eric Smalls' face, hitting a clothesline to pick up the win. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Then immediately Knox is looking at the referee, pointing to the cuff. Referee unlocks him. And Knox joins Murdoch in the ring, towering over Eric Smalls. Yeah, this was kind of a nothing match. But I'm glad this story had some closure. Although I would not be surprised to see Eric Smalls either managing or teaming with a certain other team that has a number one contendership for Knox and Murdoch's tag titles. Then we get a quick recap of Kerry Morton's win that just happened. Like, it literally just happened a minute ago. So then we see a Kerry Morton promo. He's outside somewhere. And he says, you see what I did here tonight? I won the big match. And Kerry doesn't fall to anyone. But I've got one thing on my mind. NWA 77. Thrillbilly seemingly has his NWA World Title match. Alex Taylor has his title match. But what about me? I'm just a little cheese curd and I deserve everything. So Alexander Hammerstone, I'm calling you out. When you came to NWA, you stepped into my territory. So at NWA 77, I'm calling you out. So a big old challenge for Kerry Morton. Good luck. We then see a recap for the Sinister Ministers challenge to Aaron Stevens from the week before. Then we get a Kobe Carino promo, and he's out kind of similar place that Kerry Morton was, and he says, you talk about how easy it is to be in a wrestling family. But it's more than easy for those opportunities to be handed to you. You want to, Carson Drake, you want to throw around your money? Well, it sounds like you need to be put in your place, and I'm the guy to put you there. So we got another challenge coming down, and I'm here for it. Then we go back to Bit Crush, which I guess is, looks like a hobby store, honestly. So, so we got Vic kind of walking around the store, surveying everything. Then out comes, oh God, what's her name? Not Selena De La Renta, that's someone else. Tiffany Nieves. I got there eventually. Says, Vic, you're here. So Vic walks up to her, says, and apparently she's got 2 other people with her. Actually like 4 other people, and they're all women, which I think one of them is her tag partner. Not sure who the other 2 are. So Vic walks up to the group saying, I was expecting a one-on-one session here tonight. So why haven't you responded to any of my messages? Tiffany kind of looks a little sheepish. She says, I always respond. Well, I just got a brand new phone. So Vic, you kind of see a light go off in his head. But then he says, I understand with everything you've got going on. You're the women's tag champion. You're the television champion. But I've got a vision for you to have it all. And I can give it to you. If we have our one-on-one session. So Tiffany Nieves kind of looks up into his eyes, smiles, and says, all right. So, yeah, that was a very interesting segment. Is Vic going to be Tiffany Nieves' manager? That's definitely going to be weird. Or is Tiffany Nieves heading for a new gimmick? Which is always a possibility. So, next match, junior heavyweight title match, not title match, kind of proving ground match, I guess, as you have Nick Swift making his NWA debut, taking on Damian Fenrir, who I haven't seen on NWA in a while. Good to see him back. This was a quick and yet high-flying affair. Definitely really good back and forth. But Fenrir wins with the power bomb. And I'm going to say this. If you have access to Roku, go find this match, because it was a whole lot of fun. So then we get our last promo of the evening, and it's from World Champion Tom Latimer. And I honestly thought it was going to be the same promo we saw from a few weeks ago, but this is brand new. So, Latimer says, I've been defending this all over the world. Tonight, I'm going up against a giant, a guy who really wants it. And it's what I do. So, Dragon, you're stepping into my territory. You're going to find out the worth of you getting here tonight is a knuckle sandwich from me. So then we cut from that. Then we go to a Thrillbilly Silas Mason promo. Oh, I guess I lied a little bit. Sorry about that. Where he says, Tom, the more you ignore me, the more it's going to piss me off. When I get in the ring with you, for me, this is everything coming to a head. But for you, this is the end of everything you work for. Ooh, those are some fighting words. As we hit the main event of the evening, and it's for the NWA World Heavyweight title, as Tom Latimer defends against El Dragon Nihan, who is apparently from the World Wrestling Council in Puerto Rico, which is nice. We're seeing a little some international flavor. And I underestimated how big this guy was going to be. Tom Latimer is definitely a tall dude. This dude, Neon, woo! He completely overshadows Latimer. So, yeah, this was honestly a very surprising match. When I saw Nihan's size, I thought, oh, great, big lumbering giant. This is gonna be a little lame. Nihan has an energy and a skill that's now being passed down from the bigger guys. But man, this guy did really well. Now, was this the best match of the evening? Absolutely not. Was this a very watchable, entertaining matchup? Absolutely. When we thought Latimer had the advantage, Nihan powers out. And after a whiff clothesline, Latimer hits a cutter and a DDT for a 2. Hits a big old body slam, which kind of reminded me of Hogan and Andre at WrestleMania 3. And then we see a brighter side of suffering for Latimer to win and retain. Again, entertaining match. I like what Nihan has. Hopefully he has some more opportunities in the NWA coming soon. But yeah, that's not the end of the show. Because as Latimer's celebrating, outruns Thrillbilly Silas Mason along with the other members of the Southern Six to attack Latimer from behind. And then Rich Swann and a couple other guys come out. They start fighting the Southern Six. The Lost come out. They start fighting the baby faces. And then the locker room just empties for a crazy show-ending big brawl. A la, the main event Mafia versus the TNA Frontline in TNA in the 2000s. That's kind of what it reminded me of. And honestly, I love big show-ending brawls like that. It just adds to the excitement. Like, ooh, are we going to see the baby faces fight back and get back what they lost here? Although, it's not like the heels honestly won this brawl, but it definitely adds excitement to the build to NWA 77. Oh, damn it. So, yeah, that was NWA Power. A really fun, entertaining, I guess, go-home show. NWA doesn't really do pay-per-views anymore, so NWA 77 is just going to be a bunch of tapings starting this coming week, which I'm very excited for. And it was filmed in Huntington, which I'm kind of sorry I missed that. But entertaining show nonetheless. And really good build to 77. So now we get to this. The go-home show to AEW Wrestle Dream. And it's a combination 3-hour Dynamite and Collision show, which I don't mind these so much. Because now AEW has time to flesh some things out. So, to start us off, we got a Wrestle Dream card rundown, which looks honestly really good. We got a video recap of AEW Collision with, I think it was the 6-person tag match between the Triangle of Madness, Toni Storm, Chris Statlander, and I want to say it's Willow Nightingale, but it was probably someone else. And then a video promo from Collision with Jack Perry and Kenny Omega talking in the back, which I always thought stuff like that is cool. And then we had, honestly, one of the wildest ways to open a show. A Toni Storm, Chris Statlander sit-down interview. And they're clearly backstage behind Gorilla somewhere. And they start kind of, Toni and Chris just start, like, taking their clothes off. Nothing naked. No nudity. But just, like, they're in their bras. They're wearing sports pants. It's fine. So the interviewer, Renee Paquette, just screams, "Enough of this!" So starts off with Toni Storm, who says, "I thought I'd be free from this. I am that type of woman. I've done with that title no one has done before. If you are indeed my murderer, so be it. I remember you going on and on about it." This is actually Statlander now, saying, "I remember you going on and on about your greatness. You've never figured me out, and I'm going to destroy everything you love." So Toni replies, says, "Godspeed. I'm giving you the rest you deserve. At Wrestle Dream, we'll know the truth." So Statlander retorts, "We do know the truth. You haven't accepted it." So Toni kind of gets up into Statlander's face, turns around, and then says, "Meet me in the ring right now." So then we see Toni Storm hitting the ring, but Statlander is already out there, which I thought was a little weird. And they just start brawling. And that was pretty good brawl. Toni Storm tries for the Storm Zero. That gets blocked. Statlander with a big old suplex. Stat then picks up the women's title. Looks like she's about to hit Storm with it. She lays it to the side. So then Storm gets up, hits a suplex of her own, picks up the title. Looks like she's about to hit Statlander with it. Toni looks at it, drops the belt to the side, goes up to Statlander, little kiss of death on the forehead, and she leaves. So, yeah, that was definitely one of the more chaotic openings to a Dynamite. And it was nuts. I love the Toni Storm character. Statlander seems to be coming in to our own a bit more. And honestly, that Wrestle Dream match pretty rocked hard. So next we see Jack Perry, and he's like whittling for whatever reason. He's got this little block of wood, and he's just looks like he's whittling a spear. He says, "Bucks, it's us versus you at Wrestle Dream." He kind of walks with the camera. It pans. You see Luchasaurus sitting on the stairs in his glory. Perry continues, "I don't hate you. I'm grateful for everything you've brought to me since I joined the company. But when I needed you, you didn't have my back. Well, I've found someone who does." And then we see Luchasaurus kind of cover the camera with his hand, which I love stuff like that. And honestly, a nice little compact promo, kind of away from the chaos. I feel like that felt very Jurassic Express. And now here's a match that I was left scratching my head at. Not because it wasn't good, but we were going to see the 6-man version of it on Saturday. You have Bishop Khan and Tony Loyola of the Demand taking on Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley of the Hurt Syndicate. We've definitely seen this matchup a couple times, and honestly, I think it's time for both these teams to move on. Although I will say, the dynamic between Bobby Lashley and Toa Liona is awesome. They did have a nice little matchup. We did see MVP slide his cane into the ring. But then we see Ricochet up on the apron. He gets in the ring with the ref distracted. Hits Bobby Lashley with the cane. Ricochet tries to get out of the ring, but MVP takes him out. I guess this distracts Bobby Lashley enough to be subject to a roll-up and a win for the Demand. And then MVP and the Hurt Syndicate get back up. They look for an attack on the Demand, but they roll out of the ring and bail out. So, yeah, like I said, this was a little bit of a weird scheduling, considering we've seen these teams battle it out against each other in multiple matches. But thankfully, that match on Saturday was turned into a number 1 contenders match for the Trios title, which we're going to see on Wednesday, which should be a fun one. Then we get a video of Darby Allin and Jon Moxley brawling at the AEW booth at New York Comic Con, which was the weekend prior, which I've been to. It was fantastic. Maybe I'll go again next time. And then we see probably the best segment of not only the night, but maybe in AEW's history. That's how good this is. So we flash in, we see person, he's clearly got his head down. Turns out to be Darby Allin. I did not know that at first. I thought it was, some big monster dude who was debuting. So, lights are kind of out, only a little red light in the corner. Then, door on the other side opens. In walks Jon Moxley. So they're in the room, not in an interrogation room, but it's like where inmates, lawyers would come visit and talk strategy while they're waiting on a sentence. There's the glass divider with the speaker there. So it's all very cinematic. So Moxley walks right up to the glass, sits down. That's when Darby Allin's head goes up. And we see his face for the first time this segment, with Mox saying, "This is quite the situation we got going on. And clearly, I'm the only one who understands the implications of an I Quit match. Your game is done, Darby. I know you will never quit. So what are we going to do about it? Darby, if you want to be on the right side of history, it's not too late to join the Death Riders." Which, okay, that's interesting. So Darby Allin finally responds saying, "I understand the cause of the Death Riders. It's you. This is all about what you did to Bryan Danielson. And that's why I go to war with someone who thinks I'm so disposable. It's me making hard decisions for, this is Mox now. This is me making hard decisions for this industry The sacrifice isn't yours to make. So Darby replies, when on Everest, I saw you for who you are. I'm not aligning myself with the antithesis of AEW. So Mox kind of snickers a little bit, turns away, turns back and says, I appreciate it, Darby. I've never lied to you. Every time you've pushed yourself, you're chasing a high. Anyone struggling can make it. It's a dangerous game you play. It's not about me. Then we see the door behind Darby Allin open up. Pac runs through and just destroys Darby Allin from behind. Then we see Jon Moxley open the cell door, take one last look back, and walk through the door as the Death Riders make their way into the arena. So that's going to be very interesting to see a little later on. But for now, we got a little Ring of Honor throwback match, which is very interesting as we get Claudio Castagnoli taking on Roderick Strong. And honestly, these two guys' chemistry has not left them. This was a great matchup between the two of them, including Claudio swinging Roderick Strong into the barricade, which, ow. But end of the day, after a super uppercut, Claudio Castagnoli picks up the win. And then Claudio bails. So, I wish there was a little bit more to that match, but, that was a very entertaining little matchup. So then we see Don Callis. He's walking, it looks like in a warehouse somewhere. Opens the door. We find the Don Callis family has set up for his birthday. They're like, hey, happy birthday. So then Kyle Fletcher says, I've got one more surprise for you. So on a big screen TV, being covered by a white sheet, we see the outline of Konosuke Takeshita. It is clearly Takeshita. So Fletcher uncovers it. Then Takeshita says, I'm happy you're so proud of me, blah, blah, blah. Gonna win the IWGP World Championship for you. And then we see Okada pick up the remote, turn it off. And then every other member of the Callis families look at him like he's got 3 heads. And he says, oops. So, some major implications on this. As then we see highlights of Takeshita beating Zack Sabre Jr. for the IWGP World title. So, Takeshita's got some gold. Adding on to the Don Callis family's collection, which, that's very interesting. So next up, we got the Don Callis family. So that's Hen Chizero, Josh Alexander, and, I think it's it's not Lance Archer. It's not Kyle Fletcher either. Who is it? I forget who it is. Taking on Jurassic Express and Kenny Omega. And this is kind of where my hype for this show kind of died a little bit. Not because this wasn't a really good match. Well, I'll talk about it a little later after the main event. So, nice little back and forth between everybody. Including there's times where Jack Perry was looking for a tag, Luchasaurus wasn't there. You'll have Kenny Omega then down on the floor thinking, oh, should I do this? This guy attacked me once. He then gets on the apron, accepts the tag, and just runs through Oh, Mark Davis! That's who it is. I forgot he came back. And he accepted the tag. He runs through the Callis family. Callis family get the advantage back a little bit. But then Omega attacks in Jack Perry, who hits a big old knee on Henchazero. Then that sets up for the Doomsday device from Jurassic Express to pick up the win. Then we see, I kind of wish we didn't see this at the top of the ramp, but we see the Young Bucks slinking around. They get in the ring and they attack Jurassic Express. Bucks are about to hit a TK driver on Jack Perry, but then Kenny Omega comes in, breaks it up, kind of gets into the face of the Young Bucks. And then, Jack Perry with a clothesline, and then an aided moonsault to the heels. So, definitely a very entertaining match, as it were. Like I said, I have my issues with this show, and I'll get to it at the end. But next up, we finally got some women's action, as it's Sky Blue taking on Jamie Hayter. And this was a hard-hitting affair. These two women definitely acting like they wanted to kill each other. Near the end, Sky Blue hits a sliced bread, which was awesome to see. Only gets a 2 count. Then Hayter with a big old clothesline, hitting the Haterade to pick up the win. Then Thekla, she's on the big screen, saying, "Look, Jamie, I didn't want to make this personal. The reason I attacked you on my debut, you were just there. In Japan, my name means chaos, and Saturday it's going to get toxic to the core," which, very interesting promo from Thekla. She's definitely a really good promo. I kind of like to see her do it, cut a promo in the ring somewhere. So then we go backstage to a Mercedes Moné interview, where she says to the interviewer, "Oh, I need you to refer me to the greatest of all time, but I'm not here just to make records, I'm here to smash them. So I'm having a match in CMLL on Friday. Also on Friday, I'm going to become the longest reigning TBS champion of all time. Oh, I love how things work around here. I'm coming into Wrestle Dream with all the gold, and I'm going to leave with it." Nice short, sweet interview from Moné, who apparently then has an open challenge for Wrestle Dream, which I was kind of hoping for something a little bit more narrative setup, but I don't mind an open challenge. Then we see Hangman Page joining commentary for our next matchup for the AEW Trios titles. We have LFI, so that's Rush, Dralistico, and the Beast Mortis, taking on the Ops. So that's Powerhouse Hobbs, Katsuyori Shibata, and Samoa Joe. And honestly, this was a lot stiffer than I thought it would be. It was also extremely quick. And everyone pretty much got their stuff in. Hobbs at one point with the World's Strongest Slam. Tags in Samoa Joe, who just starts beating down his opponent. Hitting a big old power slam. Goes for the Muscle Buster, that gets blocked. Eats a spear from Rush. A dropkick from Dralistico. And then Rush locks in a sleeper. Shibata with an Enziguri. Goes for a crossbody on the outside that gets caught. But then Shibata, with the sleeper of his own on the outside, which leads to a rear naked choke from Samoa Joe for the Ops to retain. And as they're celebrating, LFI, including Sammy Guevara, who is sitting ringside, attacks the Ops post-match. Then we see Hangman Adam Page taking his time to get into the ring, taking off his jacket, setting his title on the side, taking off his cowboy hat. He slides into the ring, fights off LFI. Rush tosses him to the outside. He lands almost perfectly on the apron. Looks like he's about to hit a buckshot lariat. But Sammy Guevara pulls Rush out of the way. So LFI retreat. Samoa Joe then picks up the AEW World title, holds it up for a second, and then shoves it into Hangman Page's arms. And at that point, Hangman Page just leaves the ring. So, yeah, that was definitely a bit more narrative drawn. I do wish that match meant a little more, because currently the AEW Trios titles kind of don't mean anything. And I'll explain that at the end of the show. As I believe that was the end of Dynamite, so now we're going into Collision, which honestly, we start off with a very interesting little matchup, as we got Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia, who are longtime rivals, teaming for the first time to take on Kyle O'Reilly, and not Roderick Strong, but Orange freaking Cassidy. That's definitely a first time matchup I don't think I've seen. Yuta and Cassidy kind of walk around each other for a second. Yuta then tags into Garcia almost immediately. Orange Cassidy fighting off them both for a little bit. Tags in Kyle. We then see a combination of chops and kicks on the ropes, which that was hilarious. Garcia and Yuta then tag in and out for a bit, with Daniel Garcia hitting Soul Food, which is a finisher from Trent Beretta, I believe. Yuta attempts the angle slam that gets blocked into an arm drag almost immediately. Cassidy with a crossbody, then a big old DDT, hits Beach Break, only gets a 2 count, whiffs on the Orange Punch. At that point, we see the rest of the Death Riders come out. And we see Cassidy hit a Stun Dog Millionaire. Couple of kicks. Kyle O'Reilly locks in the guillotine. Orange Cassidy with an Orange Punch to Yuta. Hits a dive on Moxley, which that was interesting. Then Marina Shafir gets up on the apron to distract the ref. Moxley and Pac then attack Orange Cassidy on the outside. And as that's going on, Kyle O'Reilly is apparently that distracted, which leads to a roll-up for your winners, the Death Riders. Post-match, we get a big old Death Rider beatdown. Members of the conglomeration come out, including Ishii and Roderick Strong. Try to fight out, but the numbers are way too much. And as they're being fought off, Moxley's in the ring. He has a microphone, but he doesn't say a word, because at that point, Darby Allin comes out. Except, you can tell he's bleeding from the head still. He's a little unsure on his legs. He turns to the ring, points. He's walking like a zombie to try to get to the ring. Claudio then with a gigantic uppercut. But then Darby stands back up, kind of falls into the barricade a little, but he's still walking. Then Pac with a gigantic big boot to the mush of Darby that he actually flips. But that doesn't stop Darby. He keeps crawling on his hands and knees. Then we see Yuta and Daniel Garcia just stomping a muddle on Darby Allin. He gets ringside. He gets back up. Then Marina Shafir with a big kick to his head. You see the Death Riders standing over him. Moxley's like, alright. Looks like he's about to say something. We then see Darby Allin's hands. And then he pulls himself into the ring. And then at that point, the conglomeration gets back up and fights off the Death Riders. We see Darby Allin looking up at Jon Moxley. Takes the flag he brought up to Mount Everest with him. Folds it out on the mat. Takes out a microphone himself and says, "It's never too late to say I quit, John." So then we see Jon Moxley just snap. He picks up Darby Allin, hits a Death Rider onto Darby, onto the flag, which, John, that's not going to do a ton more damage. That's actually more padding. But that's beyond the point. These two legitimately almost killed each other at Wrestle Dream. I think that might be my match of the year. So, now is this. It was originally supposed to be Megan Bayne versus Harley Cameron, but Megan Bayne is then flanked by FTR and Stokely. They hit the ring. Stokely has a microphone, because of course he does. But then he gives Megan Bayne the microphone. And she says, "Willow, how does it feel to you to come out, to have still lost the match? Now look at you. You made a new friend to take me on. You think that makes you a great fighter. It just makes you stupid. It means I didn't beat you hard enough. So tonight I'm going to destroy Harley Cameron until you bow down to me." At that point, Stokely takes the microphone out of Megan Bayne's hands and says, at the Brawl, which is the AEW pre-show now, "Jet Speed, we're going to run right past you and go to get the tag team titles." Dax then takes the microphone and says, "Jet Speed, you'll have one opportunity in writing your name in the history books. Think about the last 11 years. We've won 10 titles over 7 brands, which is impressive. Multiple-time Tag Team of the Year awards. Jet Speed, I hope you give us credit because you're standing against gods." So then at that point, we see Jet Speed, Willow, and Harley Cameron all on the Titantron, with Willow saying, "Oh, you guys still got some beef with us? I know." No, this is Harley, actually. "I know what FTR stands for. Feel the wrath." Then we see Willow kind of turn to Harley, says, "Harley, you know wrath starts with a W, right?" So then we got some shit talking from Jet Speed and Willow. So then Willow says, "Oh, don't worry about us back here. We're going to come out to you." So then we see Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron attack Megan Bayne from behind. Then we see Jet Speed just brawling with FTR. This is a big old fight. Babyfaces clear the ring. And then we see Kevin Knight hit a UFO splash onto Cash Wheeler, which, that was awesome. FTR and Bane are on the outside of the ring. As it's announced, this match, scheduled match, will happen. Bell rings, Megan Bane gets in, and they just start absolutely fighting. And I'm going to say this, Harley, while not a technical savant by any means, has improved so much since becoming an in-ring performer. She's great. She's legit one of the most entertaining people on the planet. This is a really, really fun back and forth, including Harley kicking out of a face to set, which is Megan Bane's F5 move. Harley fights back after putting Megan Bane in the Tree of Woe. Hits a DDT only for a 2 count. Harley then with a Falcon Arrow, which that was impressive. Harley looks to hit a powerbomb that gets blocked. Then Megan Bane with a running Liger bomb to pick up the win. Honestly, that was definitely insane. If you're looking for a really entertaining matchup, and even if you're not a fan of like the pro wrestling, this is definitely a match I cannot recommend anymore. Then we get a weird backstage promo from Hook and Eddie Kingston, with Eddie saying, "LFI, we gotta move on from you. Me and Hook are going into the tag ranks. We're gonna be at Tailgate Brawl on Saturday, and whoever wants some can come get some." Including a funny little back and forth between Eddie and Hook, who I guess Eddie was... I don't know what Eddie was doing there. He would be like, "Alright, when is this match gonna happen?" "At the Brawl. At the Tailgate Brawl." "When is it?" "Saturday, October 18th. So, a little back and forth was kind of funny, but yeah, these two in the tag ranks could definitely be interesting. Speaking of stuff in the tag ranks, we go into the bowels of the arena for an interview with Anthony Bowens and Max Caster. So Bowens has all of his framed awards or whatever they are. Caster's still holding the Best Wrestler Alive certificate. With Bowens saying, whoa, we do have some wins under our belt, but we need 3 wins for a winning streak, but that's not going to happen because I'm not tagging you with you again. Max then says, "Alright, well, likewise, I'm not tagging with you again." Bowens then says, "I loathe sharing the ring with you." Then he turns to the camera, says, "Tony, I'm begging you, do not put me in the ring with him again. I'm out of here." So Bowens walks one way, Caster another. Then Renee says, "Alright, that's it from the Acclaimed." Then you hear from just off screen, "We're not the Acclaimed." Then they run back in, both kind of saying, "You jerk," and walk off. Yeah, we already got Jurassic Express back together. It's time to bring the Acclaimed back together. That was a time and a half. And then we got our main event, as it's 6-man tag team action. You got the Don Callis family with Kyle Fletcher, Rocky Romero, and Lance Archer taking on Mark Briscoe and Brodito. So that's Brody King and Bandito. And honestly, this match was a whole lot of fun. Definitely a little preview for Saturday night. Especially that little power off between Brody King and Lance Archer. You can clearly see Bandito selling his arm injury after going for a military press slam on Lance Archer, but his shoulder kind of buckles. Then Archer with a big power slam. Tags in Fletcher. Kicks him a couple of times. Tags in Rocky Romero, who hits a big splash. And then a double stomp off the top for a 2 count. Romero goes for a sliced spread that gets blocked. Bandito with a suplex. Then Lance Archer comes in, hits a choke slam. Mark Briscoe with a drop kick. Fletcher with a couple of super suplexes. Brody with a super kick. That was nutty. Then Bandito finishes up with a crossbody. Hits the military press slam. Brody with a senton. And then Mark Briscoe with a froggy bow for a 2 count. Then we get a trade of elbows. Fletcher with a super kick. Brody with a clothesline over the top rope on Lance Archer. A neckbreaker from Fletcher. Then hits a DDT. And hits the pile drive. Then Brody with the big pile driver to win the match for Mark Briscoe and Brodito. So another Don Callis family loss. However, we see post-match Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe brawl into the back. Then we see the Tron and hear the music of El Clone. So that's Hologram's clone character. Come out, just kind of stand at the top of the ramp, pointing to the ring. Then we see Okada on his own attacking Brodito from behind, finishing off with a Rainmaker on Bandito to end our 3-hour adventure. So, overall, it was definitely a fun show. Here's my one issue. On this combined 3-hour show, we had 3 separate trios matches that honestly could have been the same match. Like, I think this is what AEW and honestly kind of all of pro wrestling's problem is. You can't really differentiate the divisions. They're kind of all in the same, which is, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good wrestling, but let's figure out ways to make it different enough. Obvious highlights include the Darby Allin Jon Moxley segment in the jail cell, and then Darby clawing his way to the ring. The Harley Cameron and Megan Bayne match was really good. And, what else was there? There was something else I really liked. Overall, again, wasn't a bad 3 hours, but I feel like as a go-home episode, it could have been way better. So, that's my review for wrestling for this week. I hope you all enjoy. Coming up this week, we got NWA Power again, AEW Dynamite on its own. I may do that on Friday, because on Saturday, we got Bell to Bell. We got AEW Collision, and then MLW is having a show. So, hopefully you check that out. Till next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.